The full moon has always meant more than light. It was a signal, a stirring, a time when the veil thinned and something inside the earth remembered. Across cultures, myths warned of creatures that only rose when the moon was whole. Not every awakening was peaceful. Here are 5 terrifying creatures said to awaken when the moon is full. The 5th, the Aswang of the Philippines. Let's start with the beautiful islands of the Philippines. They're known for their warm climate, white sand beaches, and lush green jungles. But look beneath that paradise, and you will find nightmares. Specifically, the nightmare is called the Aswang. The creature itself is hard to define because it's many things at once. Some say it's a shapeshifter, others say it's an elemental being. All agree it feeds on humans, but its preferred method changes depending on who tells the tale. In some versions, the Aswang stalks its prey, snatching them up and devouring them whole. Others claim it possesses people, turning their smiles into snarls and their feast into frenzy. But there's one constant, the full moon. That's when the beast stirs, transforming from a human host or emerging from the forest primeval. During these times, death comes swiftly and horribly, not just for the victim, but sometimes for their whole family. For if one member is taken, the Aswang may return for the rest. Legend says this monster has no real form, but can shape-shift into various animals, most commonly a dog or a pig. Some claim its howls echo in the night, sounding like the Filipino word for vomit, thus giving us another name for this critter, the vomit beast. Fear of the Aswang is so ingrained in Filipino culture that even today, during the full moon, people will cover their mouths while they sleep, believing that this will prevent the beast from entering their dreams and stealing their soul. Some will place a barrier of salt around their home, since the Aswang is said to hate that smell. Even garlic, chili peppers, and camphor are used as protection against it. And some families hold special rituals after an attack, including burning a small boat to keep the creature from sailing away with the soul of their loved one. So what's the origin of such a monstrosity? Unfortunately, like many monsters, there's no single answer. The term Aswang first appeared in folklore during the 1600s, written down by Spanish missionaries who encountered local tribes in the Visayas region. These early accounts tell of a monster that lurks in trees, feeds on human flesh, and lures children with honeyed words. The word Aswang itself may have originated from an ancient term I saw in Tagalog, meaning to eat. But other scholars trace it back to the Malay word for wild pig, perhaps linking it to a more animalistic version of the beast. Regardless, the stories spread through the islands. Today, dozens of different beasts are called Esan, each with their own look and lore. But whatever their form, one thing is clear: they all stir under the cold light of the full moon. Number 4, the Rougarou of the Louisiana swamps. Now we travel across the Pacific and head straight to the bayous of Louisiana, where the moon casts an eerie glow on murky waters and gnarled trees. It's the perfect setting for a monster to stir. The Rougarou is a cryptid said to dwell in the Atchafalaya Basin, a vast swamp that straddles the border between Louisiana and Mississippi. Its name comes from the French term l'orage garou, meaning the night of the wolves. This makes sense considering the Rougarou is often described as a werewolf, though some say it's more like a skinwalker, the ability to change into any animal it pleases, a sort of jackalope with teeth. The Louisiana swamp beast is usually seen as a big hairy creature that walks on 2 legs, carrying its huge head like a hyena. But that head has glowing red eyes and sharp fangs. And those aren't for drinking sweet tea. The Rougarou is said to devour anything that enters his territory: deer, feral hogs, even house pets. He doesn't shy away from humans either, and he's especially active during a full moon. Some say the beast only emerges when the moon is full, hunting under its pale gaze. Others claim the full moon brings out the worst in the Rougarou, driving it to frenzy. But why does it exist? According to local lore, the Rougarou was once a man, Pierre Levesque, who made a deal with the devil to save his son from a vicious fever. The deal: become the spawn of Satan and hunt down anyone who bears the mark of the beast. So Pierre became a kind of anti-Christ, cursed to walk the earth with bestial features, slavering for blood and doomed to live until every descendant of Judas Iscariot was dead. That's quite the origin story. But then again, this isn't your grandma's garden variety monster. Number 3. The Puka of Celtic Highlands. Next, we journey to the wind-swept highlands of Ireland and Scotland, where mist clings to the mountains and legends linger long. Here we encounter a creature of magic and menace, the Puka, also known as the She or the Fairy. No, not that fairy. These are monstrous fairies, massive shapeshifters that stride the land under the cloak of night. They're associated with places of power like springs, wells, and old mounds, and seem to have an affinity for horses, sometimes possessing them to go on terrifying gallops. During the day, they appear as ugly hags or wild men covered in warts and wielding clubs. But come nightfall, they transform into noble steeds with flowing manes and coats like polished jet. It's a trick that fools many a mortal, especially young men eager for a ride. But if a human mounts a Puck's horse, they're in for a wild journey, for the creature will race across the countryside at breakneck speed, leaping over hills and racing through rivers. Then, when the road ends, the rider is left stranded far from home, and if he looks back, he'll see the mocking face of his fairy guide and hear the chilling laughter echoing behind him. But why do they do this? What purpose is served by leading travelers astray? Some say the Puka simply enjoys the chase, relishing the thrill of the hunt and the fear of their victims. Others believe they're testing mortals, seeing if they're worthy of their favor. If the rider shows bravery and cunning, they might be rewarded with a magical boon. But if they falter, well, let's just say they won't be staying in this world for much longer. You'll want to stay on the path when the Puka rides. Number 2. The Nandi Bear of East Africa. Now let's head to the wilds of East Africa, where the tall grasses hide lurking dangers and the night air hums with strange sounds. There in the shadows lives a beast of both legend and reality, the Nandi Bear, also known as the Black Bear or the less cuddly Winnie the Pooh. It's a medium-sized mammal related to the hyrax and the dassie, found only in the mountains of Kenya and Tanzania. But don't let its size fool you. The Nandi Bear is a formidable hunter. It's a master of disguise, able to blend seamlessly into its surroundings. And it's a patient stalker, willing to lie in wait for hours before pouncing on its prey. Its claws are sharp as daggers and its bite can crush bone. But the most terrifying part is its connection to the moon. Like clockwork, the Nandi Bear becomes more active during a full moon, venturing out of its den to prowl the night. It seems almost supernatural the way it appears and vanishes, leaving only whispers in its wake. One particularly gruesome myth claims that the Nandi Bear was created by a witch doctor named Nengi, who was trying to protect his tribe. He went into the forest to capture an evil spirit that was afflicting his people. But the spirit entered a honey badger, transforming it into a ferocious monster. And now that creature haunts the forests, forever battling the forces of darkness. Number 1, the Obayifo, moon-fed wanderer of Ashanti lore. Our final stop takes us to the Ashanti people of Ghana, where the full moon casts a silvery light on ancient customs and age-old tales. Among them is the Obayifo, a legendary warrior who roams the earth at night, seeking out those who have wronged him. He's a restless spirit bound to a cave near Lake Bosumtwi, where he sleeps during the day, gathering strength for his nightly rampages. But what awakens the Obi Ebo? What drives him to wander the earth, seeking vengeance? Legend says he was betrayed by his own brother, Kofi, who wanted the Obai Fae's power for himself. During a ritual, Kofi tricked the Obai Fae into a deep slumber, then stole his magic sword and shield. Without his powers, the Obai Fae was banished to the cave, condemned to wander the earth until he could reclaim his weapons. But there's a catch. He can only venture out under the light of the full moon, drawn by its ethereal glow. And when he does, the ground trembles and the forest trembles with him. The Obai Fae is a force of nature, unstoppable and terrible to behold, and his search for retribution is endless. But why does he seek revenge? What drove him to become a creature of the night? Legend says the Obi foe wasn't always a vengeful spirit. Once he was a great warrior, feared by all who knew him. But his brother's betrayal shattered him, turning him into a being of pure rage and sorrow. And that's why he wanders the earth, a tragic figure forever searching for peace. Well, there you have it. 5 terrifying creatures said to awaken when the moon is full. As you can see, our fascination with the moon and its influence has echoed throughout history. And these creatures serve as reminders of the mysteries that lie beneath the surface of our world. When the moon watches, something watches back. Thanks for watching. Which of these creatures would you least want to encounter? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying tales and catch you next time.